Welcome to another episode of talking about the W Series here. Round number 2 is what we will get into this episode, talking about Barcelona de Catalunya weekend, heading into it, and then of course afterwards we'll do a post race breakdown on the following episode. But for now, this is what we are talking about, and it should be fun. Hopefully you all enjoy it. As always, I do these live on Twitch, Theoverreactedgamer. If you like to follow me there, feel free to do so. If you like what you're hearing now, feel free to hit the subscribe button on YouTube, the like button if you do enjoy this content, and as well as follow me on TikTok just in case. Well, now, here is Jacob. For them starts up as well. Just hold up here real quick. There we go. Okay, so for this, yeah, so just over 12 hours, about 13 hours till the first session starts. We all know what happened last week. If you didn't know, Jamie Chadwick swept the weekend for the races in Miami, winning both races. She herself said she lucked into the first race win, second race when she dominated, and Nerea Marti ended up getting second in that second race. For you in the United States, if you have ESPN Plus or have ESPN News, ESPN2, any of the ESPN channels, most likely the race will be shown live on those channels here in the US, and that is just makes it much easier. I talked about it last week. Hold up. I talked about it last week how it was a must for the US to get a good broadcasting partner for the W Series, and they were able to do exactly that. And they partnered with ESPN, just like F1 partnered with ESPN, and sure enough, it has been magical. But things could change next season with ESPN losing the rights potentially to CBS Sports, Paramount Plus, Peacock TV, which would be Universal, which would be NBC Universal. So very exciting for this. We look at the top three drivers: Jamie Chadwick, Nerea Marti, Bicycle Visser, heading into the second round, third event of the season. That's kind of how the W Series has also put it on their page as well. Like we talked about, top three, the fourth place, not out of it at all, with 3 points separating second through fourth. 20, basically Abby Pooling, not out of it just yet. That was a bit of a copyright song, so we made sure to take that off. But either way, Abby Pooling with 20 points has a chance. Jessica Hawkins not too far back with Alice Powell, same way, and Belen Garcia. So 3 drivers tied with 18 points. And this is a big race for Nerea Marti, Belen Garcia, and Marta Garcia, because all 3 of them, this is their home Grand Prix. For drivers like Abby Eaton, who didn't have the best weekend, Fabian Volvend as well, wrecking out a couple of times and not being able to get inside the points, it's going to be a tough hill to climb here very early on. But it is Barcelona de Catalunya, and this is more... This race, you'll expect more single file action, and maybe a couple of passing, but it is a very difficult track. What I mean by that is it's technical. You get on the inside, it's mainly a one-lane racetrack. You do get out of that groove. If you're not able to make the pass, it's going to be very difficult for you to be able to, get back in line and keep your same spot. It's just the type of track it has always been. And that causes for some great racing too, just in case there are a couple of dive bombs. And we'll see that a lot at autodromes like this track. Not necessarily autodromes, but tracks that are similar. Barcelona, um, Hungaroring, um, even Mexico, I'm sure, when they go there. Circuit of the Americas, for sure you can see passes, but there's chances that if you don't complete that pass, you're going to have to defend from whatever position on back just to make sure. Chloe Chambers, this was a big weekend for her in Miami to get a point in one of her home races. So, and that's a driver that I also want to shed a spotlight on too. Emilita, who's as well. But so Chloe Chambers being an American, um, here on this show, we highlight our American drivers who, well, are fighting for the same goal, trying to get to F1, trying to get to the top of motorsport, whether or not LMP2, LMP1, and, so on. But this was crazy to me. Not her age. Age 17 still has plenty of time to even build her resume to be a better race car driver. Her birthplace was not the United States of America. It was Guangdong province, China. But her nationality is still the United States of America. She plans on going to university in the United States starting next fall. So exciting for her. Hometown is Monroe, New York. And just very exciting. And this was her career highlight, being accepted for the WSeries, being selected for the WSeries season. Yes, with Jenner Racing, but you talk about, this is a huge thing. And funny enough, her favorite circuit is Circuit de Barcelona, de Catalunya de Barcelona, or / Barcelona so far. But she needs to, of course, learn different tracks. So this is a good opportunity for her, if she knows this track very well, to be able to get a good starting spot for both races and be able to try to drive her way up to the front of the field. Maybe get a 5th place, 7th place. Those are goals that she can definitely be able to achieve. Saying you got 10th place at a track that nobody knew what to expect from, especially any of those drivers, you can do all the sim testing you want to, but in the end, it takes that practice, that actual race practice when you get on that racetrack to be able to move forward. So maybe she has a little bit of an advantage with especially the Spaniard drivers who, you and I both know that they will try their hardest to get up front and have an opportunity to win in front of their home fans. I expect at least, even for the race, depending on how the schedule is, I expect it to be a good crowd there at that time to watch them race, as long as the race isn't too late or too early. Like, if it's a race right before qualifying, they've got a good chance at having a lot of eyes on them at Circuit de Barcelona de Catalunya. Last year, I wanted to find last year's results and standings, so we might be able to find that. Let's see if we can get a couple. Yes, Red Bull Ring, Silverstone, Hungary, Spa-Francorchamps, Zandvoort, the doubleheader at Circuit of the Americas. So they did not run at Barcelona like I thought they did. They ran at the Red Bull Ring for two races. So I am completely wrong on that. So this is a very important weekend for every driver, because again, you're starting off back-to-back weeks where you haven't. A lot of these core group of drivers have not gone to Barcelona to race at this racetrack yet. Maybe a couple of them have been able to see this racetrack or have tested on this racetrack beforehand with a different series, but coming into this same car, this W Series car, it's going to take them time to get used to a couple of these drivers time to get used to or adapt to this racetrack, even with all the testing. It's very technical. You need to carry a lot of speed, especially with the race car. The way that it works, you got that momentum, and you're going to be able to pass. Of course, I've never driven an open wheel race car, so I don't necessarily know what these drivers will be going through during practice and the race, but I for sure know they'll be trying to find the track limits. They'll be trying to push a couple of times for good lap times and seeing where that limit is. If they find the limit and accidentally spin out, as long as they can, get back going and don't damage the race car, they should be fine. This is another track where it's a lot more open. You have gravel traps, and that's really about it. You don't necessarily hit a wall here too much, considering it is one of those wide racetracks. There has been talk where this track isn't necessarily the best in terms of being able to find some passing or being able to get some passing down the front stretches where you'll see a lot of those passes going through. I think the final, not the final chicane, but the final sector is where you'll find some good passing opportunities in my eyes. A couple of passes down the backstretch before you hit the backstretch into this certain corner. I forget the name of it, but it's where MotoGP would normally go around into this little loop there. So yes, there will be a couple of corners that will be key for these drivers to be able to pass in, but it's all going to come down to qualifying, in my opinion. If you're able to qualify well here, you might be able to take off and run away with it. And that's something that Jamie Chadwick has been able to do very well at, though she did not have the fastest lap last time out in Miami. She had the second fastest lap, but not the first fastest lap where Nerea Marti got to start on pole, but did not get going off the line. That's going to be crucial too. Can these drivers limit those mistakes off the line? You're holding the clutch in, if I'm not mistaken, right off the start. You got to release that clutch and hope that car does not stall. Having enough revs off that line will be key. We've just seen it happen a couple of times. But yes, these top three drivers will be the ones to look out for, especially Nerea Marti being her home track, having that 23 points. Jamie Chadwick only will be able to score 25 points if she wins. That's max among points this weekend for each driver. You cannot sweep with a 50. But going back down the line, like we said, the breakdown of the first race I did give, but highlighting how Abby Pulling, yes, she did not necessarily start off well with qualifying, but gained a lot of spots throughout the race weekend. Scoring that 10 points was huge, getting that 5th place and being able to score solid points beforehand, nodding her that 20. A lot of drivers found out that, penalties would be enforced off of that first race, and that's going to be the case. You don't have a second race to make those, or to make up those points that you might have lost due to penalties, so these drivers will have to watch out with contact. Are there going to be a couple of racing incidents, especially in the braking zones? Going towards turn number 1, you have an S. You have the S's, flat S's going through turn 1, so that is a heavy braking zone there. Drivers will be fanning out, trying not to hit each other for sure. We could potentially see some contact through turn number 1 and through turn 2. Drivers, once again, that technically need to step it up. Abby Eaton and Fabian Volvin will be looking to get on the board. Both of those drivers. Teresa Babakova, first year in the WSeries, started off not necessarily too hot, 16th position. She'll want to better her starting spot and have an opportunity to at least get a point this weekend. Same thing with Juju Noda. That's one to look out for. only 16 years of age in this series, the youngest driver selected for the W Series, has a lot of talent behind her. Look for her to also improve throughout this season, not only in this race, but for much other. And both of those drivers, I believe, in the academy. So they are driving for the academy. And I believe if you are on that team, you automatically get invited back the next season. Take that back. She is with Puma. Is Babakova. So Teresa Babakova from the Czech Republic. She would have to get a move on. Fabian Volvin, same deal. She had bad luck. That race in Miami. We did talk about it. Making contact, not being able to finish the first race in a points paying position. One person also that will want to not recover, but be able to finish strong like she was able to do throughout this race. Well, just finish with good points will be Emma Kymäläinen. Emma Kymäläinen, we all know, in the two races that she raced with, was in a podium position, whether or not that being first or even third, in a podium position, driving up, and, well, off the restart off that safety car with Jamie Chadwick, outbroke herself into turn number one and losing her podium spot and all of the points that she was able to gain in Kymäläinen. That's why she sits in 9th place with 10 points. Then, driving up to this, or then in a podium position in the next race, having an opportunity, trying to pass Alice Powell, and going into the turns, a tight left-hander just loses all the grip, already spinning out, Alice Powell makes contact with her as well, damages Alice Powell's front wing with about 1 lap to go. So just things like that she'll want to definitely make amends for in this race in Barcelona de Catalunya, get off to a great start, and be able to finish with that podium position and maybe even a race victory. Not out of it in the slightest. Definitely this has been already the tightest season after 2 races, the tightest season I have witnessed in this W Series 3 years of existence. Technically 4 years, but we don't count the esports year that they had to do due to COVID and them having to cancel the W Series due to all the restrictions around the world and who was going to be able to go to a race, who wasn't going to be able to do all of that. And there was just so much going on in 2020, the year 2020, already been 2 years since then. Absolutely just mind-blowing. But like I said, this is going to be interesting to see who's going to be able to step up. I mean, 14th, all the way down to 14th position, has a point. And that is crazy to note, considering, well, we showed back up with the 2021. With all the drivers' points all the way down, sadly, to 20th position, with the American Sabre Cook not being able to score a point when she had 2 solid finishes at COTA. But that's besides the point or locked in. Just a lot of bad luck. But all the way down to 19th position had points. But it was a very, very close battle, especially for that top 10 to basically 8th position right there, with Visser having 38 points in 8th place. But yeah, back to the 2022 season. This could be a race where we start to see some separation for sure. The drivers who will know this track right off the back of their hand will have a big advantage heading into the race weekend, knowing how a race car should potentially feel, especially going through there. Look at Martha Garcia, 12th position here, getting 2 points from Miami GP. Funny enough, her favorite track is Circuit of the Americas, though. And she has had wins in the W Series, winning in 2019 at Norris Ring, which that was another crazy victory. That whole season, the 2019 season, by the way, is on YouTube.com. So check that season out, because the inaugural season had a lot of ups and a lot of downs, and it was a fierce competitive battle all the way to that last race in Brands Hatch. That was 2019. So again, talking about this race, what will there have to be for these drivers to do? Well, again, to get that car set up perfectly. And it's interesting to also note, because I got to have a small chat with the likes of Sarah Moore and Alice Powell, but Sarah Moore kind of...
I don't have an answer for that.
Well, there goes my Alexa, but Sarah Moore, she kind of alluded to this. She was practicing for Spa last season, and this was on R Factor. She was live on Twitch, but she had talked about it and said, well, the drivers get out in practice and mainly run alone. They don't necessarily run too close to each other, which was true when I did see it at Circuit of the Americas. It was kind of the same. And, well, they set up their race cars to be fast, maybe in qualifying all by themselves. So when it does come to race time, when they are so close together, it's very difficult to make those passes, because you've already set up your race car to be very good in clean air and not necessarily in that dirty air. So that's where things definitely get complicated for these drivers, of where's that balance that you want to set up your race car for, especially if you know that you're going to most likely for this weekend be in the back, not necessarily back of the pack, but kind of mid-pack, 10th and upwards, or around 14th position backwards, trying to make up spots with 18 drivers on this racetrack, 18 drivers on this racing circuit too. So it's a lot of it's a big guessing game. That's, of course, why you have these engineers. And this series was made to a T. These cars are as similar as can be. The only difference is setup and how good are you behind the wheel. How much do you know this track? Will you be able to be patient? Will you be too aggressive and end up wrecking yourself out? So many factors, so many variables will come into this to play here. Only 30 minutes plus a lap that they'll have to decide on that Saturday for the race weekend. Again, starting up in less than 13 hours. It'll be an early morning for them. Having that practice, I'll catch up on it here in America definitely a little bit later on that Friday. Kind of get up and, again, follow me on TikTok, follow me on YouTube, the Overreacted Gamer, on both. Follow me on Twitter, JacobYoung4564, for the updates of what I think will happen throughout this race weekend until that Saturday is over. And then, of course, maybe most likely I'll talk about the race on Sunday, breaking down every single inch possible of this beautiful race weekend. And I would have to suspect that WSeries will also have their articles out as well to kind of, break down what the drivers said in the paddock and all of that, and what Ted Kravitz had to say, Naomi Schiff being able to catch up with the drivers too, and all of that fun stuff, breaking it down. That would be a very fun, conversation to have, is being able to kind of interview Naomi Schiff and being able to just, talk with her about the WSeries, breaking everything down. That's always a fun little thing. I know that she's got her own stuff, but it's very, very fun to talk about this series because of just how competitive it is. We don't necessarily get to, talk about how competitive it is in Formula One, maybe a little bit in Formula 2, and definitely in Formula 3, because, yeah, the championship might come down to the last race in Formula 1, but we're talking about a 2-horse race. Here we could be talking about 3 to 4 drivers who have an outside chance looking in to win the title if, let's say, first place ends up wrecking out. Right now, it would be Jamie Chadwick. What's going to happen in Mexico? That's a different circuit. They haven't been there. They were supposed to go there last year. So there's all these different variables of how much practice can you have with just that. So it's going to be very, very fun to watch this again. Jamie Chadwick leads the championship with 50 points due to her sweeping that weekend, coming into this race knowing that she'll have to most likely put it on pole, and if she doesn't put it on pole, if it's not in the top 3, she's going to have a very difficult time getting up, if I had to guess. And we'll do a little bit of a test run at Circuit de Barcelona de Catalunya here very shortly on iRacing when I'm finished here breaking down this whole thing. And there's not too much else to really talk about, I guess. Kind of just giving my opinion, giving my prediction for maybe the top 10. Top 10 that I see here in this one. I think Abby Pulling will come out strong and be able to put it on her second podium in her WSeries career, getting a 3rd place in this race, scoring her with 15 points. I think Jamie Chadwick will not end up winning this race, though. I think she'll end up getting a 2nd place with Neria Marti first, and then we'll go Marta Garcia, Belen Garcia. Yes, of course, the Spaniards. So Marta Garcia 4th, Belen Garcia 5th. And 6th position, Sarah Moore, Kimmelainen, still with a little bit of a struggle, 7th position. Alice Powell, 8th place. And ninth place, Jessica Hawkins. Rounding out the top 10 for the final point, I think it will be Chloe Chambers. And that would be your top 10 from me. I know it's a very bold top 10, but that could definitely happen considering, well, how are you feeling heading into this? Do you have some pressure behind you to finish well? If you don't necessarily have that much pressure behind you and you're riding that momentum from the about a week ago, then you're going to be feeling really, really good about this race week and saying, okay, I finished a very difficult Grand Prix considering it was wall to wall, and now we're going to a track that's a little bit wider, and this could also be my strong suit. We've seen it before. We go back to some autodromes, like I said, just a wider track. Circuit of the Americas last season, we did see the likes of Abby Pulling finish well. Alice Powell only having car trouble, reason being why she finished back there. Jamie Chadwick off to the races with that 1st place, sealing that championship for both races. Marta Garcia having to pull out due to some mental health issues from that race, but throughout that season finishing very well throughout the races. So you look at those wide tracks, you look at, we can also just, click on this and break it down even to a T. Alice Powell winning at Red Bull Ring. These tracks aren't, as close, but they are still fast paced and good tracks to run where it's all about that rhythm. You don't have the rhythm into the last turn, it's going to be a struggle. That last chicane can make or break your whole lap time. If you're catching a driver and it goes into that place, you might lose a lot of time. So that's my whole point on that note. Dario Marti finishing 7th position there. So, and Bell and Garcia finishing a top 4 at Red Bull Ring. Again, we're not going to Red Bull Ring, but it's a similar track. How did these drivers do past Red Bull Ring? At a closer track would be even a Hungaroring, in my opinion, because it's a little tighter and more technical. Neria Marti on the podium. Alice Powell on the podium as well. Bikes finishing in 5th position, so a lot of these drivers that didn't necessarily have the best of times at Miami could definitely show up here because it's one of those circuits that, well, they're not. It's not a street circuit. It's not a street circuit. Therefore, it's not that. It could be tough on your tires due to heat, but you know this track more or better than you would know, a different track. So of course we'll come back to this when it's this weekend, when it's a Hungaroring weekend. When we go to Silverstone, we'll come back to who finished where in Silverstone. Yes, there's new drivers, so we can't necessarily say where those drivers will finish. We can only guess and say how they're coming off of the past weekend. Because all these drivers we know have talent. So it just depends. That's going to be as fun as it definitely gets for this race weekend here. Practice only makes perfect. And perfect practice is always key for you. Fabian Volvend, again, looking to try and also finish this race, get points under her belt. And that's going to be a key thing to look at. There was a look at last year for Silverstone. Alice Powell actually ended up winning that one, and Jamie Chadwick ended up finishing 3rd. So there's still, a lot of time. 10 rounds to be exact. 10 races. 8 rounds, 10 races. So 2 races gone, 8 more to go. These drivers do have a lot of time on their hands, so if they do end up getting a chance to drive another race car, they would be able to do that. So it's always key. This is a great series because they give these drivers so much time to be able to test and get an opportunity if they have that chance to maybe drive in their local Ferrari series, drive a bit of whatever they have the chance to, an SCCA event if you're in the United States of America or something of that sort. Very, very fun indeed. It's going to be a fun race to see live, and I'm going to try to tune in live unless the local time is actually 4 a.m. for the race. Probably not going to be able to watch it live, but watching it on tape will be okay too. Considering, go to latest news. We'll end it on a story that was posted May 17th, 2022 about the Spanish stars. Spanish stars out to impress in Barcelona. Again, checking just in case, it's by WSeries. and doesn't say who the author is of this. But we go on. What a way to start this. Less than a fortnight since reigning double champion Jamie Chadwick celebrated the second of her 2 wins and a perfect start to her title defense at the spectacular 2022 season opening doubleheader in Miami, USA. WSeries travels to Barcelona, Spain this weekend, 20th to 21st of May, this weekend to be exact. The third race of the season, 3, in support of the Formula One Spanish Grand Prix, starts a run of 4 straight WSeries races in Europe, with events in the UK, France, and Hungary to come before F1 summer break. Following that, the International Single-Seater Motor Racing Championship for female drivers will stage a race in Asia for the first time in support of the Japanese Grand Prix before finishing the season in the USA and Mexico, so North America to be exact. This may be WSeries' first race in Spain, but the 18 drivers on the grid are familiar with the Circuit de Barcelona de Catalunya as it staged this year's preseason test in March. Forgot about that test in March. Forgot that they had a test in March there to get ready for the season. So they do. Every single driver knows how this car will most likely handle here, even though that was winter temperatures. That's the only real thing that will change, in my opinion. Continue on. A popular testing venue for the world's leading motor racing series due to its all-round challenge. The 4.675 kilometer, 2.9 mile circuit has 16 turns and has staged F1 Spanish Grand Prix since 1991. Belen Garcia, Marta Garcia, and Nerea Marti will be eager to perform well in front of their home fans, from whom they can expect strong support, particularly Belen, who lives only 9.3 miles away in La Matia del Valles, Barcelona. All 3 will try to build on their strong starts to the season. Nerea is second in the championship standings, having recorded the first pole position and second podium finish of her WSeries career in Miami. Belen is 7th after backing up a top 10 finish in race 1 by equaling her best WSeries finish of 4th place in race 2. Marta is 12th, but proved her speed in race 1 when she finished 2nd before receiving a 10-second penalty for causing a collision, dropping her out of the points. So exactly, something to talk about, like I said, are those penalties. Penalties are huge, already dropping her out of a top spot, which was on the podium. I know Marta talked about it in, what was it? One of the shows that WSeries does. And talked how, it was kind of, to her, it was not the right penalty. Obviously, she was frustrated because that's 2nd place and you feel like you earned that 2nd, and then getting it taken away from you by the FIA. Of course, the race directors had a completely reasonable explanation for that to take it away, but Belen is 7th after backing up a top 10 finish in race 1 by equaling her best WSeries finish, and 4th place in race 2. Marta is 12th, but proved her speed in race 1 when she finished 2nd before, receiving the penalty for causing a collision, dropping her out of the points. So right there, all 3 drivers having a strong start to their season. Just Marta Garcia needs to know, okay, I got that speed. I have an opportunity to really, really do good things here, and that's going to be key. If all three of these drivers can qualify, maybe top three, then it could be an all-Spanish podium. And that would be something that I don't think we've ever seen, at least in the W Series. That's something that will be kind of very cool, actually. Jamie, who will celebrate her 24th birthday on the eve of Saturday's race, leads Neria by 27 points at the top of the standings and will attempt to continue her scintillating form at W Series' first European race since September last year at Zandvoort, Netherlands. Jamie has won the last 4 W Series races and stood on the podium at the last 9, a run stretching back to the second race of last season at Austria's Red Bull Ring on July 3rd, 2021. Toyota Gazoo Racing New Zealand is supporting W Series with the logistics required to get racing cars to F1 race weekends in the most sustainable way this year. Toyota will send 18 of its FT60 cars to be used by W Series at the circuit de Barcelona de Catalunya this weekend and at Suzuka, Japan in October. It is the first time that series have worked together in this way to stage a championship. So that's crazy. It's a different manufacturer, technically. Meaning Toyota Gazoo Racing, that's going to be a different engine. It's not going to be the same Alfa Romeo engine, if I had to guess, and that's kind of, I guess, they changed their car this year. Funny enough, R Factor has that on. Well, R Factor 2 has that on their sim/game, which is very cool. And of course, R Factor was a well-known sim racing game before Motorsport Games took over, just to let you all know that it kind of went to fruition before Motorsport Games took it. But that's, of course, neither here nor there. That's a completely different topic that we don't need to get into, but it is a very interesting one. So as we talk more about it, W Series uses identical Tatis chassis to the Toyota Racing Series, but with different engines. And the cars being shipped for those two events will retain their Toyota engines. That's what I thought. Sharing cars between the two championships helps to manage logistics and enables the use of sea as opposed to air freight, keeping the series' carbon footprint as low as possible. So that is super cool. What can you do to maintain the carbon footprint very low? Is, of course, we get more and more into saving the planet, making sure that everything is green, considering this other series that's a very, very cool off-road series called Extreme E, something like that. I'm butchering the name for sure, but well, their whole point is to go to places that need attention. So, very cool. And the likes of Lewis Hamilton, Nico Rosberg, Audi, McLaren, I know that there's another technically manufacturer in there, maybe Red Bull, but besides that, really, they're there for one reason only. They feel like it's a good thing. Veloce Esports as well. But yeah, W Series scheduled for this weekend starts on Friday, 20th of May, with a 30-minute practice session at 10:40 local time CEST, followed by qualifying from 1925 to 1955 on the same day. The race starts at 14:40 on Saturday, the 21st of May, and will be 30 minutes plus one lap. British fans can watch the third race of the 2022 W Series season live from the circuit de Barcelona de Catalunya on Sky Sports F1 and Sky Sports Mix from 13:20 BST on Saturday 21st of May with qualifying live on the same channels at 18:15 British Standard Time. On Friday 20th of May, highlights of the race will be on Channel 4 at 9 British Standard Time. On Sunday 22nd of May, the action can also be seen across WSeries digital social channels, as well as being broadcast in more than 175 territories, with a full list available at https://wseries.com/where to watch. Should be very exciting indeed. We go down to what Belen Garcia had to say about this weekend. The races in Miami weren't bad, but my results could have been better. Qualifying was a bit messed up because of the red flags. But that's racing. In the first race, I had a clutch issue, so I was a bit handicapped. But I still felt so much stronger in the car than last season, and I showed that in the second race when I was hanging on to the front runners. Now I'm confident that I can be fighting with them, and that's where I want to be for the rest of the season. Good for Belen Garcia. I take great confidence in my home race in Barcelona. My form in preseason testing was good, so if the car is good this weekend, I can fight at the front. As it's my home race, I'll be aiming for victory. I know that will be difficult because a lot of the girls want to win and it's very competitive, but I have a chance. It will be a very special weekend. My family lives around the area and I'll have my parents, my sister, my boyfriend, and my dog with me at the track, and that's an amazing feeling. My previous races at the circuit have been tough. Last year, I got hit from behind in both races in the Formula Regional European Championship, so I don't have great memories. But at this year's WSeries pre-season test, I felt at home on the track, and that gives me extra confidence. That's exactly what you want to have heading into a race weekend. Belen Garcia couldn't have said it better herself. She felt confident in that preseason test in Barcelona de Catalunya. So, with just having great confidence and having that opportunity to get maybe a first place, it's going to be really good. Belen Garcia has shown pace throughout this season. She showed pace a little bit last season. Not, of course, I didn't watch the Formula Regional European race. But again, this is what the season's all about, and this is what growth for a motorsport driver looks like. You feel more confident inside the race car. You look better than you had the year before. I mean, great example again, Hailie Deegan, female driver in the NASCAR ranks right now in the Truck Series. She's worked with her crew chief and spotter TJ Majors. Don't know her crew chief's name, or else I would have said her crew chief's name. But TJ Majors, her spotter, he even said it this past weekend when they were filming Door Bumper Clear. This is the best that she's looked, especially at 1.5 mile racetracks. So that's a very good thing. Looking good, feeling good, like only making a couple of mistakes. And when she makes those mistakes, she figures it out very quickly and is able to make up those, especially if they're early on in the race at 1.5 mile racetracks, and being able to feel good and getting an opportunity to go forward in that. So it's one of those situations where, yeah, you're building your own confidence and you're feeling good in that car. And that means, well, you're closer and closer to your goal of being able to make that next step. Now, of course, that next step does cost money. Will you have that backing from a sponsor or anything like that? That's, of course, for the future. But for now, Belen Garcia, at a young age, has an opportunity to be able to take that next step and maybe get not only on the podium, but stand at the top of a podium in a crucial week where she's got that chance and she feels good. Feeling good is always that key. Feel good when you hop into a race car, you're focused, and just I feel like that's momentum. That's momentum. It gives you that 10% speed boost. I know that it's kind of joking there, but it's also kind of true. So very, very cool indeed. So now we'll move on to Martha Garcia. Martha Garcia has been in this series since 2019. Once again, we talked about it real quick. She had that inaugural race win at none other than Norris Ring. That was her career highlight. So let's see what she has to say about this race weekend here at her home track in Barcelona de Catalunya. I was angry in Miami because I thought the penalty I received was unfair, but there is nothing I can do about it, so I'm moving forward to Barcelona, where I will try to convert that anger into a strong performance. I'm putting the incident in Miami behind me and focusing on the fact that I improved as the weekend went on. I've been doing lots of simulator preparation for Barcelona, and I want to keep improving on my weaknesses. It will be mega to race in front of the amazing Spanish fans. Barcelona is not one of my favorite tracks, but it can be a good weekend if I work hard. I prefer tracks like Miami with slow corners and chicanes where you need precise braking to get a good exit time and time again. When we tested in Barcelona in March, the third sector had changed since I was last there, and it was less reliant on braking, which hurt me, so I need to improve that. But I improved in Miami, and I'm confident of improving again in Barcelona to get good points for the championship. So Martha Garcia, basically, from what we could tell from that, feels like she's struggling, especially in that third sector. So we'll need to basically focus as much as possible on that. But she, again, with that confidence from Miami, feeling good about that, being able to bring a little bit of that momentum there. Of course, being taken off the second step of the podium really, didn't feel the best for her, but it's okay. And she can most definitely move on and have that opportunity to really do well, as long as, like she said, being able to figure out that third sector and working with that in the 30 minutes that they have for practice and the 30 minutes that they have in qualifying, because she'll want to get every ounce of practice and every ounce of a good lap time in to try that opportunity to start around that top 5. I think that top 5 starting spot is going to be key for any driver here this weekend, once again. Now, moving on to the final Spanish driver, Niria Martí. Racing with Quant Fury Racing WSeries team, she said, I'm very happy about my performance in Miami, where I proved I've made another step up since last season. I still have to improve and learn from my mistakes, and there is a long way to go, but I'm on the way. I feel more confident, and I'm eager to continue working hard, and the results in Miami have made me more motivated for the next races, starting with my home race in Barcelona. It will be super special to race in front of all the Spanish fans this weekend. I'm really looking forward to it, and it's going to be a very good race. All the drivers know the circuit, having tested there earlier this year, so I think it will be tight. It's a circuit with fast and slow corners, so you need confidence and patience to do well in the race. The goal is to improve on the mistakes I made in Miami, to stay focused and be as consistent as possible to give me a chance in the championship. I would love to win in Barcelona, and I think I can. That's as much confidence as you definitely need. Neria Marti coming into this weekend, like we said, only hours away from the start of their race weekend there. It's the evening time to be exact. So all the drivers will be there. They've done their track walks, I'm sure, gotten all the data marked down, and where the struggle will most likely be for these drivers to fix the next day. Very excited to get this weekend started. Very excited to see what happens next in the W Series. Well, that's really, all that there needs to be said about this one. Tune in this weekend. Once again, like I said, I'll break down the race most likely on Sunday, and it will hopefully be out around Monday, at least Monday evening, for the podcast of the breakdown. But if you want to catch it live, like I said, stream live about once a week for a podcast version. We do W Series when there's a race weekend, and we do NASCAR all 3 or 4 series when there are race weekends. So tune in for that live on Twitch and live on Twitch. Follow me on TikTok for more just hot takes. Jacob Young 456 on Twitter, and of course, Theoverreactedgamer on YouTube. Thank you all so very much for watching for this podcast. If you're live, we'll do some racing here very soon, but thank you all so very much for watching here. See you all next time. Let's have some fun at the W Series. I'm Jacob Young. Adios.